We went on a ship that had been an old tramp steamer, and 1,500 of us were crammed into two small holes, divided horizontally, so that the people on the bottom were sitting in some coal dust, and the people on top had their heads almost against the steel plates of the ship. The food that we got was almost inedible, very unpalatable. We had a great amount of dysentery and skin troubles, and by the time we got to Sandakan, I think we all agreed that it had been a hell ship for us. So for the first 15 months, that camp might have been said to have been a reasonable camp, except that all the time the conditions were deteriorating. The food was getting low, the medical supplies that we had disappeared, and the Japanese gave very little to us. People started to get thin and ill, and in the 15 months that I was there, we lost 27 people, which was not a great amount at the time. But it was obvious that the Japanese were in stress in their war attempt, and they were taking it out on us to some extent. The individual guards who were with us all the time would, at the slightest opportunity, give us a kick in the shins or a beat across the shoulders with a pick handle. And there were a few incidents where Australians resisted, and they were tortured quite badly, put in a small cage. And gradually, as I said, conditions were deteriorating.
I was at the time only a 9-year-old boy. So from time to time at night, there will be a certain room in the house. All the windows are darkened, you know. They cover up everything. And we as children, my brothers and sisters and I, we were not supposed to go into the room. And towards evening, I remember it's towards night, before we go to bed, we see all kinds of funny people come into the house, dressed in disguise. Some were wearing this, you know, Malay costume, you know, and their faces are painted, no? With all sorts of color, black color, they come. Of course, I believe those that were painted faces were actually white men. They must be Europeans, because they're white, see? We had some guys there, and they all gathered in the room, speaking very, you know, quietly, with low voices. We don't know what they are saying. And of course, as a boy, I am very inquisitive. I will go to the door, try to peep. And my mother would say, "Hey, get out from there. Don't disturb your father or he's going to get angry." So we have to go away, and then she will put us to sleep. So every morning we used to have breakfast, and we used to sit down to take breakfast together. No? But one morning, just before we start the breakfast, a car, I never forget, this car is an open, what I call that type of car without cover, you know, this military car, Japanese military car, is an open hood car, no hood on it, open hood car. And a group of men appear, and one of these must be a Japanese officer because he had a long sword. And he says, "Lagan, Lagan, Tuan Motingo," he says, "Lagan, Lagan, my boss wants to see you." And my father could not take his breakfast. He had to leave the place immediately. Immediately. So he was taken away. The family and I, my mother, my brothers, my brother and my two sisters, we never see him again. Of course, now at this age, I begin to think now, they must have tortured my father to get this information out, no? Because they didn't come to collect these things, find these things together at once. They one day, then the next day, they must have beaten him, torture him to get him to tell them where he hid these things. Tidak ada makan.